Hi, I'm Alison.
And I'm Taylor.
And we're the hosts of the Anxiety Chicks podcast, where we dive deep into the reality of anxiety, nutrition, and mental health.
Listen as we explore all things anxiety healing while keeping it real, including our own struggles with mental health.
We'll bring our expertise as healing professionals to the conversation while discussing the tools and strategies you need to heal the anxious mind.
Listen to the Anxiety Chicks on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Anxiety Chicks podcast. I'm Alison Sepanera.
And I'm Taylor.
And we're so excited to be back from a little Thanksgiving break. We did have a repeat episode talking all about the holidays and just how to kind of navigate through the holidays. So if you didn't hear that, it's a replay, but it still has some great content. So go and listen to that. But we are back for another monthly Q&A, and I'm excited to get into some of the questions today. So why don't we jump right in? Taylor, you want to go first?
Yeah, I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. I know the feeling of when you get back after Thanksgiving, you're like, okay, that was fun having my time off, but now I'm so jam-packed with everything and my emails are flooded. Anyways, so Let me start with the first question. What are you doing differently this December to actually feel peace instead of just talk about it? And what's funny is that's actually my word of this month is peace. I really want that to be the core of how I enjoy this holiday season, because I want to actually feel it within my body and not just like think, oh, like the holiday seasons, it's supposed to be happiness, peace, joy, love, like all those happy things. But I feel like a lot of times I make it something that isn't that. It's the overdoing everything, the saying yes to everything, the feeling like you have to be on and performing. And I think I just want to let December be slower. And instead of waking up and immediately feeling like I have to just like run through the day, and I look back usually when Christmas is over at the holiday season and I'm like, wait, I didn't do half the things I wanted to do. I was so busy trying to get everything done that like my head was in my computer or my phone or something and not where I want to be. And so I'm just gonna like really be intentional each day, and that's kind of what today's only the third day, but I feel like the last couple days I've been intentional, like even being gone all last week, instead of letting myself just like freak out and be like, you have so much to catch up on, and then immediately put myself in that feeling of you're behind and you need to get ahead. I just was like, nope, we're gonna get back at it. We might have to say no to some things. Um, we might have to say, hey, I don't have this much time today. I have this much time. Like you have to like just speak up for yourself, because it's all about protecting your peace. And yeah, that's just my word of the month is peace.
I love that. That's a very fitting word for December and all the holidays and everything,
Yeah.
I think obviously talking about it's great too. So continue to do that. But obviously there's so many wonderful tools and wonderful ways you can just feel at peace, right? With also talking about it. And I think intentional is huge. And everything that we talk about on this podcast is like, if you can just my biggest thing is, if you can just commit to one small thing each day that you can, that is realistically achievable, that can bring you peace, like focus on that. I talk about this all the time. Maybe it's just drinking more water, right? Drinking like a glass of water, or like making sure that you take 15 minutes away from social media, away from your television, away from your kids, away from work. Anything you can do, like set a timer, but just take that time and really make it intentional, for sure. I love it.
Yeah, I think for me, it was just like, okay, take inventory of your day. And if you really sit back and take inventory of your day and realize, okay, when I say I don't have time, and a lot of people say that they don't have time, it's like, where's your time going? And when you really look at your day and where your time's going, and you have this thought or feeling of, I don't get to do the things I want to do. And it's like, because maybe your brain is distracted by the things that you don't want to do and you don't have to do. And if you just slow down a bit and really take inventory and realize, I don't feel good when I scroll my phone for 40 minutes and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I wasted 40 minutes. And then my brain's like, I got to get going. And then you just spend the rest of the day kind of trying to make up those 40 minutes. But rather, it's like, okay, if I know I have those 40 minutes that I can spend on something, I'm going to do it with something that brings me peace. And so
Yeah.
just making those little exchanges.
Yeah. Totally. Okay. So, one of my questions was, how do I stop overthinking everything in my 40s, especially texts and dating and friendships and life decisions? Okay. So, this can probably be helpful for people that are under 40 as well. But I think there's a lot of things that change in your 40s. So, like your body changes, your brain starts to shift. If you're going through any kind of like hormonal changes, I mean, you have brain fog, you have fatigue. If you're single in your 40s, like me, then of course there's going to be a bunch of other types of rumination happening, whether it's about dating or friendships or anything like that. So, you know, we started the first question off, which was great, with intention, and I think that this kind of goes into this question too. Um, it's this question of like, how do I stop overthinking everything? I mean, if I had $1 for every time someone asked me that, or I heard that somewhere on the ethers of the social media being like, stop overthinking. Like, I don't even know what that really means. I mean, honestly, because there isn't just one blanket answer that one person is going to give you, and then automatically you're not going to overthink. That's not how this process works. And I get on my soapbox about this all the time. So, I'm sorry to say, but like, you're not going to just learn one cute little like ice cube trick and then overthinking's going to stop. Like, that's not the way this process works. So it is intentional. You have to make it a practice. And in order to make it a practice, you have to intentionally commit, kind of like what I was saying in question one. So, in order to work on your ruminating thoughts, you have to intentionally commit to do some cognitive work every day. That might be a thought log, that might be journaling and sitting down and doing a brain dump and learning to find patterns of where your intrusive thoughts lie and what they connect to on a daily basis and where they maybe come from, what sort of, this buzzword triggers, what type of triggers are coming up for you. What's the narrative in your mind about life? I mean, were there certain messages you received as a child or growing up that made you feel like you should be at a certain place in your life by now because you're like 40 and something hasn't happened yet, or you haven't done this and you're comparing yourself to other people? Like, get very clear of where the root is of those ruminating thoughts and intentionally sit down and ask yourself, like, how true is this? Are these thoughts real in my brain, or am I creating this narrative? And how can I talk to myself in a loving way? What would I say to a friend who is feeling the same way, who is thinking these same things? Like, 1000%, you would never say half the horrible things to anyone you love that you do to yourself. So you really need to just get clear on what are the really ruminating patterns in your brain and actively start to unlearn them. And it takes a practice and it takes intention.
Yeah. I think also that's funny. How do I stop overthinking? How do I stop being anxious?
Yeah.
The more you say that too and think that, like, I have to stop this. I have to stop this. You're putting more attention and focus to stopping, and you're making it kind of bigger in your head. So you're going to keep overthinking. So kind
Yeah.
of just allowing yourself to overthink, allowing yourself to be anxious and saying, hey, I can take these thoughts as they are and evaluate them as they are, and I can compartmentalize them in certain areas and they don't have to consume me. I can still go through my day, say hi to the thought that I might be overthinking, look at it, recognize it's just a thought, it's not a fact, and move from there. So,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just you have to find comfort with being uncomfortable, and you just can't get a lobotomy and get thoughts out of your brain. We have 70,000 of them on average, like every day. You're going to have to start getting comfortable with the fact that we have thoughts, and they're not
yeah.
always going to be pleasant.
Yep. Okay, next question. How do you handle overstimulation when you're around family or crowds? So this one is big for me because I don't know if it's like when I wouldn't say it's when I started developing anxiety. I would say it's gotten worse as I've gotten older. I would get overstimulated when I was younger, but now it's definitely worse. So this one's a big one for me. Noise, conversations all at once, people asking questions, just like my brain and eyes, I feel like they do this. Like I see everything all at once and I feel everything. So my nervous system is usually like, okay, we're done. But what I've learned is that overstimulation doesn't mean that something's wrong with me. It just means that my system is full. And so now instead of being surprised by getting overstimulated, I go, okay, I know what to do when this happens. I give myself permission to step away. So I hosted Thanksgiving this last week. It was a lot. Like I did it all. I put it all together. I cooked a lot. By the end of the day, I was like, okay, my brain is full and no one knew it. I literally went to my closet. I took like 5 minutes to myself. I was like, I'm in sensory overload. I just need to sit in here and chill. I actually sat like laid on the floor and put my legs up on the wall and just did a couple deep breaths and was just like, I got to anchor myself. I have to center myself for a minute. And that was like big for me. Just 5 minutes. That's it. Like I wasn't in there a long time. It was just like, I need this moment to reset. And so that's how I handle it now. I step away when I need to. I narrow my focus, ground my body, and I remind myself once again, I have to protect my peace. I can let everybody else around me affect me, or I could take those 5 minutes and know that it resets me and know that overstimulation doesn't mean I can't enjoy things. I just have to recenter sometimes.
Yeah, that's great that you know how to do that, you know? I mean, and that's a huge piece of learning. Like for this specific question, it's also just generally learning about yourself. You have to gain some type of self-awareness. So, in those moments, it's easy, like for a lot of people, it might be easy for you to say right now as we're talking, well, this is kind of what helps me. This is what would have been helpful, this blah blah blah. But when you're in the moment, a lot of times
Mm-hmm.
it's really hard to sit back and actually get back into, the less reactive mind. So it's going to start with really taking inventory of that for yourself, and really recognizing you need to have some self-awareness when you're in those moments, and so you can recognize what you need. So that's good that you
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah. I think like in the moment, I was feeling okay, I'm getting a little anxious. So what would be best for me right now? When I feel that way, I know if I avoid thinking about that thought that's happening, I'm going to make it bigger or I'm going to get more overstimulated. And so if I don't take an action, I know the consequence of that. So I'm like, okay, got to take the action so that we don't prevent what we've done in the past because what do they say? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing without the same thing over and over again without
Expecting a different
change.
result,
Yeah,
yeah.
and expecting a different result. So,
Mm-hmm.
becoming aware, taking inventory once again of what happens to me usually when I start to feel this way. No,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to keep going down that way. So,
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So the next one I got was, why does anxiety get worse at night and first thing in the morning, and what can I do about it? And I feel like we've got this question so much. We probably might have answered this at like every Q&A. But for some reason, people just feel like they need to hear it over and over again. And that's totally fine, because um, this is where a lot of anxiety lies for a lot of people. And here's what I'll say. I know for the mornings, our cortisol levels are a lot higher in the mornings. Just statistically, we have higher cortisol levels, which is like the stress hormone. So it's very common that you would maybe wake up feeling a little higher on that rating scale. So having a really just a morning routine that serves you, and giving yourself time to start your day is going to be huge. So if you're someone that wakes up, that has to leave the house at like 7:59, and you wake up at like 7:50, that's, I would say, you need to kind of talk about that, think about that, right? Like, How are you going to get 9 minutes and get yourself together and go? And that can create a lot of overwhelming feelings, a lot of anxiety, that rushing feeling. So definitely try and take some more time in the mornings, and also incorporate into your mornings some type of self-soothing, some type of self-regulation. It can be for 2 to 5 minutes. Honestly, you can do a 2 minute meditation in the morning. You can do some breath work in the morning. You cannot look at your phone first thing in the morning and actually just be present and think about what you're grateful for. You can do these things. Okay. I don't want to hear I don't have time for it. I'm so over that, because everybody that doesn't have time for something is a very entitled person. Okay. Myself included, because having time for something is a privilege, right? There are actually people that don't have time for anything because they're surviving every day. Okay. So if you have time to do certain things, it's a privilege. So think about it that way. Say to yourself, you know what? I know what I need for these couple minutes. It's a privilege that I can choose to do this, and I'm going to do this today. And the same thing for at night. Same thing. The biggest thing also is a gratitude practice. Like at morning and at night, if there's one thing you do every single morning and every single night before you leave the house, and then when you come in before you go to bed, it's literally thinking of 5 things you're grateful for that day. That day. Doesn't even need to be like, it could be the same exact thing every day, whatever you want, but it's going to change your neuropathways. It's going to literally change your brain. So you have to get into the practice of doing it. And you're going to hear me saying that over and over and over and over again on this podcast. Everything is a practice. This is a journey. And then with nighttime, also, it's very important. Your sleep hygiene is going to be really important. So your routine, like, and the way that you sleep. So if you're someone that gets really, really anxious in the morning, it's highly likely you're probably not sleeping well, also. So you need to look at your sleep hygiene, which means your sleep environment. How loud is it? How bright is it? What is the temperature? Like, what are you doing before bed? Are you going to be scrolling and watching? Is there a lot of talk about stimulation? Is there a lot of stimulation before you go to bed, or what's that? So those are just a couple things. And I get on my soapbox about it because, you know what? It really, really takes practice, but you can do something about it. Like, you just have to really proactively make choices for yourself for the better.
Yeah, I think sticking to a morning and night routine and following through with it and doing the things that I know make me feel good are the things that keep me from feeling stressed out, feeling anxious in the morning and at night. Because when you have that game plan, you just know what you got to do. It almost becomes like second nature. You just do it. And that's helped me a lot.
Yeah, and if you are, even you're struggling with both, like anxiety at night and morning and all that stuff, and sleep is a huge factor in that, you really need to get into a pattern of falling asleep at the same time and waking up at the same time in the morning. You really have to start training your brain and your body to do that, preferably before 10 p.m. or 10:30 p.m. It's the circadian rhythm, it needs to be balanced. You can Google that, all that stuff. Okay, so next.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely read on circadian rhythm and how you can utilize and benefit your own. Okay, this question, the answer is going to be kind of surprising, but that what's the most surprising thing that improved your anxiety this year? I sat on this and thought about it for a really long time, and I was like thinking of like these like small things, and then I was like, wait, you know what the biggest thing is? Facing some fears that I had convinced myself that I could never face, or just theories and connections I've created that have held me back or kept me in a bubble that really weren't that big of a deal, but I just did it. And the feeling I felt afterwards. So, just for the longest time in my head, the things I, in quotations, just don't do anymore because they trigger me. So, certain situations, certain things, certain places. And I truly believed that avoiding these things was keeping me safe. And then I had this whole breakthrough, I would say probably right when I turned 30. So, February, literally just the beginning of the year. I was like, oh my gosh, but that's like just because you're living every single day with this high functioning anxiety, basically, you have so many safety behaviors that you truly, if gun to head, wouldn't face right now. And that's sad. And so this year I kind of did a lot of things that I was running from for a long time, and I was basically showing my brain, yep, that is dangerous. That is dangerous. You kept yourself safe by avoiding that. Good job. Like that's all I was training my brain for years, by avoiding a lot of these things. And so this year I kind of just got a little tired of being afraid, not having panic attacks, living my day-to-day life, but still that sense of within me, like, no, you're still being held back. You're still kind of in a prison with anxiety. I told my therapist, I was like, it's like I have this elevator music playing. It's not loud, it's just there. And it's just reminding you that you're still held captive. And so I started doing the things that I swore I couldn't do, and not all at once, and not planned really. I just would kind of just do it on a random day, and I faced a couple fears, and I'm feeling some transformation through that, because it's funny. The fear almost felt bigger than like doing the actual thing, some of these things, because then I did it and I was like, wait, I actually feel better than I did before with the fear. Yeah. So, anyways, I could go on and on about that, but I think really just it's funny. I feel like almost having a game plan about facing the fears is harder than just kind of knowing your fears and then randomly just doing a fear. I know that sounds silly, but that's kind of how it worked for me on some things. Is I didn't have a game plan, I didn't have any thought about it, and the opportunity might have just came to me, and it's been in my head that I want to face the fear, and I just kind of jumped into it. So that was
Can
my
can
year.
you just give us an example of something specific?
Um hmm, something specific. A couple are pretty personal, so probably not.
Okay. So can you give us like
I tried to think of one that wasn't personal.
okay. Okay. Can you say like you well obviously you're saying like avoidance. You face something so you stopped like avoiding a lot. That was the thing that surprised you the most, is that you stopped avoiding or
What surprised me on there's just a couple things in my life that it's hard to say. Like I just had these theories and thoughts around,
like
and
beliefs about things?
like connections around, like I can't do it. Um
Okay.
if I do it, something will be bad. Just some connections
Okay.
I've had. And yeah, I just yeah.
So
More
like
to come.
okay. So
Yeah.
sorry. I feel a little confused, so I'm not sure if the audience does. That's why I'm
They
trying to
might. They
ask you a
might.
little bit
I
more
know. When I
about
was
it.
saying that, they might. But my whole point is you are more capable than you realize, and you might surprise yourself by the joy you feel by facing some things you think you can't face.
Cool. Okay. So I will say that the most surprising thing that improved my anxiety this year is that I um, figured out that the common denominator of a lot of the friendships that I've broken up with was me, because I was choosing friendships that were, I was choosing people that I thought that like I needed, that like I thought I needed to save. So there's a lot of friendships that have like not like broken up with, but a lot of friendships that I have had for like a year or a little over a year, probably within the last 10 years of my life. I have like five different girlfriends that I was an amazing friend to and was like completely there for, and I don't know, just helped them through a lot of things and did not get that reciprocated. And that just happened again to me. And this person literally just completely, that's like a whole nother story, which I will share under behind a paywall at some point. But like, I, I was like, why is this happening again? This person is literally not the same person than when I met her. And we've like had so much, and like, it's been so wonderful to like, this person literally changed her belief about a lot of things in the last couple weeks. No idea what happened. Like literally core values that I believe in that she doesn't anymore. Um, for I have no idea why, but it's been very, very hard for me to understand how someone I thought that I knew that had similar beliefs as me and like we had similar lifestyles and like very similar interests are complete opposite for her now. I mean, everybody has agency. She's allowed to choose. But then I started thinking, it was giving me a lot of anxiety. And I remember thinking, this feels like the last couple girls that I was really good friends with and put so much time and energy into these friendships and got nothing back. Like, why is that happening again to me? Like, I've done so much healing work. I've done so much on myself and like my relationships. And this person wasn't like toxic at all. Like some of the other girls had big like problems. Um, but still it was happening again, and it was so surprising because I literally realized that I'm the common denominator. Like, why am I attracted to these types of friendships? And I feel like it's because I want to like save them, or I want to like help them through something. And I mean that's like the core of me. I want to help people, but that's not necessarily the basis of true friendship or relationships. You do want to have similar values and similar lifestyles and like things in common, but mainly it's like similar values, right? And beliefs about things. And so it really surprised me to figure that out. And that actually has released me from so much anxiety. And so none of these people that were in my life are terrible people or bad people. They just were on a different part of their journey than I was as far as healing goes. And so it was actually like a big loss for me though. And it was really hard because
And how
some
long were
of the,
you friends with her?
like 4 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And like one of the
A
one of the
sudden
girls.
change is sad. Like that's kind of like
So that's what I was just going to get to,
that's
because
worrisome.
this happened like 8 years ago or something with another girl who, now she had dependency issues. So I might have met her at a time where she wasn't really her best self anyway. But, I helped her so much through a lot of different grief and loss issues. And then, like, when my dad was dying and he died, she, like, never reached out and um, just never even sent anything. And then another friend who completely just disappeared. And then and then this one who has completely just changed her personality, in my opinion, because, just things that we used to have conversations about that we were very aligned on. She, like, literally completely thinks the opposite now. So, yeah, it's very jarring, and it's kind of, there's like a grief in it. Right.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
so it was like, yeah, so it was really, it's been really hard to kind of navigate through that. And this happened probably like 6 months ago. I don't know, at some point. And so it was just really surprising to me that, one, it was making me anxious. Like, it was making me, I mean, it was probably the grief of like losing a friendship, which really connects with my anxiety too. But it really surprised me that I like am the person that made the choice to like spend time with this person. I like surprised myself. I was like, well, why? Like, I was having a conversation with myself. I was like, well, why are you choosing people like that? I mean, kind of the same in dating too, right? As you navigate through it. And I'm just like, okay, well, that's why. Maybe now be intentional. I'll come back to that word. Maybe it's time to be more intentional about the choices you make with friendships. And I do give myself a break because this person really was a different person when I met them. So
Right.
we were like aligned on a lot of things, not like everything, but more things than not. And so I give myself a little bit of grace for that, but still, I think underlying, hanging around her, I did get a feeling that she was really lost and she was feeling really insecure about herself. And there were some moments that she really just shut down and didn't let me in and wasn't really aligned with me in the way that, like, I really emote and how I am open and communicative with things. So yeah, it was very surprising on how that happened, and it took a while, but I'm feeling like my my anxiety is kind of leveled out with that. But that was really surprising. That was something for sure.
That's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So my last question, how do I trust myself again after years of choosing the wrong partners or ignoring red flags? Oh my God, this is kind of like I just was talking about. And it could be about choosing the wrong friends. That's what I was just, but this person's probably talking about dating. But a lot of what I just said will probably go into this question, which um, is good that it was this one. Um, because that was a huge piece of just this last experience was trusting myself. And whether it's about dating or whether it's about friendships, because there are red flags in friendships also, um, you have to really, you have to start really recognizing how your body feels around people. Okay. Um, did I do a post on this or was this in my single sister circle? I forget. I posted it somewhere, but I did a whole like write note blog about your body and how the body keeps score and how recognizing the physical responses you get when you are with somebody is almost going to tell you how toxic or non-toxic that person is more than your brain at that moment. So like your brain will catch up with you. But pay attention. It's like, kind of like anxiety, right? Like what physical symptoms are going on to you in certain environments or around certain people that either connect to feeling tightness in your chest or tense muscles or nauseous or like fast racing heart, shortness of breath, all that. What are those signs? Are those signs present when you're around a certain person? More likely that person is probably going to be someone that's dysregulating for you. And what I'm describing is totally different from like being on a date and feeling kind of like a little nervous but like excited. That's totally different. Okay, you can get maybe some butterflies and like but still recognize that you're feeling kind of excited and this person is making you feel like heard and you're enjoying a conversation and they're not judging you, and that's safety with somebody, right? um, you need to discern between that too if that's hard for you, right? So listen to your body when you are around somebody. That is the biggest red flag that you can notice, is how your body feels around this person.
Yeah, I like what you said because it's true. I don't think you realize sometimes you might feel anxious and you're not taking note. Wow, it's every time I'm around this certain person, I start feeling these certain ways. And when you stop going around that person, you notice those symptoms or feelings kind of dissipate, especially if it's like you say you go to a certain place and that person's always there or something, and you're not correlating the two. So it's so important to not just think about your thoughts and your feelings, but your physical feelings, because it does say a lot. And there is a release when you remove yourself from certain people who, every time you're around them, you feel just like your body shows it. Heart is really fast. You feel a little more off. I know those type of people. So
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah. And
And a
then
lot of times you think it's something wrong with you, but it's not.
no,
It's being around that person, that energy. We are
yeah,
energetic
exactly.
beings.
Yeah.
So
And if you can learn to really become more aware of those things and trust that your body knows what's right and wrong, right? That's teaching yourself how to trust yourself. You're trusting that your body knows. Your brain is going to have a million thoughts a day. No, maybe not a million, but there's a lot of thoughts that go in your brain a day. But if you can identify what's going on in your body and trust that, then then process that, and then you
yeah,
can ask yourself certain questions about this person. And so, it's funny thinking, going back to that other question of that friend that I just sort of became more disconnected with. I always felt tense around her. I always felt like I had to say something that had to be calculated. Like I couldn't just say what I was feeling or thinking. And And I think about that now. And again, I thought it was me. I thought I was like being too rigid in the way I was trying to, or perfectionistic, right? I thought I was being too perfectionist, like I needed to be perfect, but it wasn't. I just felt very judged by her
Mm.
if I said or did something a certain way. And then she would also get very irritable really quickly. And I didn't really know why. And
So then you
so
kind of
I,
always felt scared internally of irritating her
yeah,
and having that reaction and then being uncomfortable with someone being irritated at you.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. And especially, going back to like the Ford in your 40s kind of people who are listening. Um, it's hard when you get older because there's not really that many. It's hard to make friendships, I will say. And then it's hard to date because the pool is a little smaller. It's a little different. Hopefully that's changing with my single sister circle. Everyone, link in the show notes if you want to join. It's free. Come join us over there. I'm having a free holiday workshop. Actually, I'll put the link in the bio, in my bio. I'm so used to saying that. Link in the show notes. But it's basically surviving the holidays solo, and we're having a real live conversation on December 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern in the circle. So I'll make sure to link that if you guys want to join. It's totally free. So anyway, yeah, like I just think it's harder. It gets harder as you get older so for me, I started realizing like, well, I don't have that many friends that like are single still and like all this stuff and maybe so maybe I settled for friendships too, as like I settled for dating, and I'm not going to do that anymore. So you kind of just need to really practice trusting yourself more for sure.
No more settling.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, that was a wonderful Q&A. We will be back next week. And if you guys ever have any questions, we do monthly Q&As the first Thursday of each month it comes out. So make sure you send us some DMs if you feel like you have a question you want to ask, and just join us next week and rate, review, subscribe. All right.
Bye,
Love you
everyone.
guys. Bye. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today.
We hope this episode reminded you that you're not alone and healing is always possible.
If something we shared helped you, the best way to support the show is to leave a review or share this episode with a friend who needs it.
And make sure you're following us on Instagram at The Anxiety Chicks for more support between episodes.
We're just two chicks on our own healing journeys, cheering you on every step of the way.
Until next time.
Take a deep breath. You've got this.